It's the 256th day, and Ben sits alone in his cell, staring at the wall. It has been a long 256 days. No family, no friends, no outside world, no connections. He only gets to eat and have half an hour a week of time with a plastic ball for recreational purposes. What could cause for such a life as this to happen? What could he have possibly done to deserve this punishment? The answer? He forgot about lab safety.
Ben was a normal child growing up. He was just like any other kid. He followed the rules, and I remember when he was about 7 or 8, he'd come home with his little plastic gloves and his little safety goggles, and he'd always say, "Mom, I love you just as much as I love lab safety." Well, but after that, he just got worse and worse. I tried asking him if everything was okay. I was concerned, but he said I was fine. He was fine. So, and then one day, he came home with glass in his hand, and he said, "Mom, I broke a beaker." That's when I knew it was the bottom line. I had to find help right away.
He and his parents would then seek out professional help at the University of Mortar, where specialist Caroline Flask would come to their aid.
I have a lot of people coming here, and some even famous, and the problem can range from as tiny as accidentally using some dirty lab equipment or as large as setting your hair on fire. That's what happened to Samuel. But anyways, I saw the ability for him to change, and so I started going through the steps of rehab.
She started by giving us contact info for if we needed any help. And then she got out a bunch of her safety equipment, like tongs, a pipette, safety goggles, plastic gloves, and I think a lab apron. And we went over to the nearest lab, and we tried to learn lab safety.
First sessions, they seemed awful. I could hear bickering, arguing, screaming, knocking things over, tables getting flipped. It was so hard for him. But he showed diligence, determination, employability. And after a couple months, he's shown signs of improvement.
Before, I used to eat food during my lab experiments, but she was able to get me to stop. I used to never wear the lab apron. I never kept my work area clean. I mean, I never even washed my hands after doing experiments. But she was able to teach me the correct lab safety rules, and I felt like I was becoming a better scientist.
Ben was making full strides to a recovery, and was being looked upon as the Rocky Balboa of safety in the lab. It seemed as if no one or no thing could keep Ben from achieving his goals. He was going to learn lab safety. But then the Ivan Drago of science jumped into the ring, and it was time to face his ultimate enemy, the beaker.
Learning how to use a beaker was going to be the last thing I was going to teach him. I knew it would be hard, but I've faced worse. I mean, I've seen the Percy Jackson movies. So I went over the basic procedures of how to use a beaker, such as when you heat it up, you always wear safety goggles and not touching broken glass. The list goes on.
Well, I was watching through the window, and everything seemed to be going well. He was using the equipment correctly. She was smiling. Everything seemed to be going right.
Then it happened. Ben turned around to read the instructions of the lab and knocked the beaker off the table. There was dead silence.
Right then and there I knew he was too dangerous for the science community. I quickly called the police and made sure he didn't leave the room. I felt bad, I honestly do, but it was just too much of a risk to take.
All I could do was sit on the floor and cry. I knew I'd done wrong. I just waited for the police to handcuff me, and I went away quietly.
Ben was thrown into jail for 3 nights until his court day. He was then sentenced to 5 years in prison without bail, each year representing each beaker and each heart that he broke. Ben, before we left him today, had one last meaningful suggestion to tell the world's youth.
If you guys are gonna send cheese to my cell, make sure it's sliced.
Use lab safety or this could happen to you. A message from the Lab Safety Association organization.